Hello, and welcome to the Scott Mize Show, podcast focused on body and hormone optimization and improvement for anyone who's looking to get jacked, build muscle, lose fat, improve their hormones, feel better, or improve their health. Here, I interview experts in lab work, hormones, bodybuilding, coaches, bodybuilders, and everyday people and senior executives who have improved their hormones and improved their body. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Anything you hear should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult with your physician before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or supplementation protocols. This podcast is brought to you by Element Electrolytes. Element Lemonade is finally here. It's great for a hot summer day, workout, or just enjoying with a cold beverage at your desk. Check it out and get your free sample pack of their favorite flavors, along with any regular purchase when you use my custom link, which is drinklmnt.com/Scott Mize. The sample pack is great for anyone who's interested in trying their most popular flavors, or anyone who wants to introduce a friend to Element. Go to drinklmnt.com/Scott Mize to claim this awesome deal. Now on to the show. Taylor Moore is an online fitness and elite physique coach helping bodybuilders earn pro cards and lifestyle clients get in the best shape of their lives. Taylor is a young coach, but has a stacked resume, including overall wins, pro cards, and hundreds of life-changing transformations. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. And you also, I didn't mention it, but you also recently started your own podcast.
Yes, sir.
With Nick, right?
Yes, with Nick Justice.
And it's called?
It is called Limitless Evolution.
Limitless. Cool.
So my team is like Limitless Pursuit, and his is Evolution something. So we were like, okay. Limitless Evolution sounds cool.
Cool. Yeah, it's awesome. I've really enjoyed it. 3 episodes out so far. Yes, check that out on YouTube if you guys haven't yet.
We just did one with Dom Kuza as well this past week, so that one's good.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that. That's great. Yeah, big Dom fan here.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I'd just love to start with your background. You know, where'd you grow up? Were you into sports? How'd you get into bodybuilding? And we can take it from there.
For sure, man. So, I grew up in small town in Virginia called Danville, Virginia. Yeah, I played sports my whole life. I was a big baseball and football player up until 9th grade. Well, I continued to play them throughout high school, but really the sport that kind of changed my life was wrestling.
Yeah.
So, we'll get into, we were just talking before we started, Parker, my client, he actually got me into wrestling in 9th grade. Yeah. So first time I had ever lifted a weight before, anything like that, was 9th grade year. Basically, I started wrestling and I was Parker's brother's backup. So I was just, he and his brother were always super naturally just gifted when it came to genetics and strength, and like benching Parker benched like 405 for 12 reps in high school or something like that. Yes. Needless to say, I was getting my ass kicked on the wrestling mat. Ended up going like 0-14 my freshman year. And I was like, something's got to change. So started lifting weights. Obviously ended up progressing through the strength department and started getting a lot better at wrestling. And honestly, man, I contribute a lot of my mindset and just overall love for weightlifting and bodybuilding and stuff to wrestling. That's kind of what got me into it. So from there, obviously wrestled. I got the opportunity to go wrestle in college at Liberty University in Virginia. Ended up, it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. It's a Christian school, so it was just, they have a lot of rules, and like, I wasn't very fond of like no holding hands on campus with your girlfriend and stuff like, so I was like, nah, I'm okay. So I started applying for a couple colleges. I was kind of on the verge of whether I wanted to go to college or if I want to go to the military. I come from
Can I
military.
ask you a couple wrestling questions?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I love it. Yeah.
Super curious.
Yeah.
What weight did you wrestle at?
So my freshman year I was 152. Actually freshman and sophomore year I was 152, but man, I could show you some pictures. I was like 6 foot tall at 150 pounds. So like you can only imagine how like scrawny and skinny I was.
So you had to suck down to get there?
No, that was like my walking around weight.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah. So I was just there, like just skinny, and I was a fat kid. And then like I hit a growth spurt in like 7th, 8th grade, and then just shot up and got super scrawny. So it was like a skinny fat 152. And then so I wrestled that my freshman and sophomore year. And then junior year, I was when I started really like I started lifting weights really hard in 10th grade. Used to get up at like 4 a.m. and go before school. So I did that. I wrestled 160 my 160 my junior year, and then my senior year I was walking around like 185, but I ended up wrestling 170, so I cut down just because I had gotten decently good. I I missed the regional. I almost won the regional title. I went to states, obviously, but didn't do very well. But yeah, I knew that that was kind of where I was gonna be able to excel a little bit more my freshman year. So I cut 15 pounds down and wrestled 170.
That's awesome. I always tell people I should have been a wrestler
Yeah.
because my wife is 5'3" and our hips are the same height.
Yeah.
I'm 5'9" now. I used to be 5'10". So I have like a really long torso and like
Dude,
very short legs.
would have been the best wrestler.
But instead I rode, which is the opposite build you want. Like you
Yeah.
want long legs, short torso.
Yeah.
And I had to suck down too. It was lightweight rowing. So we had to
Okay.
make weight for that. I
I didn't know
rode
there
all,
was like weight classes in rowing.
yeah, it's stupid. There shouldn't be, but
Yeah.
it's just an excuse for smaller people to row.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to suck down. Like I was 5'10", 149.
Okay.
I weighed all through college, and there were guys in the boat who were 6 foot, six
Yeah.
foot one,
Yeah.
who rode at 155.
Got
So
you.
no stranger to the weight cuts and like
Yeah.
gaining and losing 20 pounds week to week. So yeah, anyway, I just find wrestling so fascinating because it's like my lost calling.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude. I really contribute, like I said, a lot of my just overall mindset, man. Like discipline, the discipline that wrestling taught me, when it kind of comes to prep, like prep's hard, yeah, for sure. But have you ever starved yourself like completely no food for 3 days and cut 15 pounds off? Like that's hard, So it's like even in the depths of prep, I tell myself like, man, I'm still eating 5 meals a day. I'm still drinking as much water as I want. There were days in wrestling where I would eat food like this is probably not what I should have been doing, but like I would eat food, eat lunch, and then I'm like, man, I just gained 4 pounds from that, so now I'm gonna go throw it up. And that's hard, So it definitely built a lot of resilience in me, and obviously gave me what I needed as far as my calling and weightlifting. So it really sparked it all for me. So
That's
I
awesome.
love wrestling.
Yeah, the most fucked up thing is there's women's lightweight rowing, even in high school, and that leads to some really bad stuff.
For sure, I can imagine. Yeah.
But anyway, sorry I interrupted. You said you were debating going into the military or where to go to school.
Yeah, yeah. So I was debating on whether I wanted to go to college or go to the military. I come from a military family, so my dad was in the Navy. He was a corpsman. My grandpa was also in the Navy. He fought in Vietnam. So it was like kind of like a family thing to go into the military. And also Parker, who was my best friend, his entire family was in the Marine Corps. And he is a year older than me, so he was in the Marine Corps at the time. So that was kind of the way I wanted to go, or I was deciding between that and college. I was pretty just uh, kind of naturally smart, I like to call it. So I had, a 3.9 GPA. I just started applying to colleges for fun. Like I was the first time, nobody in my family had ever gone to college or anything like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply to college just to see what happens. So I applied to a few of them. And at the same time, I was going through the process of talking to a recruiter for the Marine Corps and stuff like that. So actually, the day before I was supposed to go to MEPS for the Marine Corps, I got accepted to Virginia Tech, and I called my recruiter and I was like, after talking to my family, I was like, hey, man, nobody in my family has ever been to college before. I think I'm going to go to college. So I did that. And then from there, I got to college, and that was when I I needed something competitive because I had been an athlete my entire life. And that's where the bodybuilding came in. And I was already lifting weights, already doing everything, but just partying and not eating healthy and stuff like that. So really, really, really started taking weightlifting serious in college. And then I was like, I'm already doing all of this stuff, I might as well do something competitive with it. So dove into my first prep during my sophomore year of college, right in the midst of COVID. And then the gym shut down. Ended up picking prep back up, as soon as everything was back up and running, and competed for the first time in April of 2023. No, March of 2020. I'm sorry, not 2023. March of 2021. So that's kind of what, got me to this point, and obviously a little deeper than that. Do you want me to go from there as far as like coaching and everything?
Yeah, I guess first, like, how was your first show? How was your first prep?
So honestly, everything I've done, in life has kind of led me up into where I am today. Like obviously everyone is that way, but like it's funny because everything that I've done has kind of like quite literally chronologically led me to the next thing that I'm doing. So my first prep was, to say the least, pretty awful. I had hired a coach from my hometown, a coach, at that point, at that time, at 19 years old, you don't really know what a coach is. So basically, this guy was like, "Hey, for 350 bucks, I'll prep you for your first show, the entire prep." So I was like, "Okay, cool." He had done some shows before, or whatever. Um, Needless to say, I didn't send my first actual check-in photo until 4 weeks out. Um,
Wow.
and each week on Sunday, I would send him, you know, like basically how I was feeling, what my weight was, that type of thing. And he would send me macros and how much cardio to do per day. So that prep really, it sucked. But looking back, it taught me a lot because that's really when I dove in. I'm basically coaching myself at that point with no knowledge. So I just started going and looking at every podcast I could possibly watch. I was asking every question I could on Q&As back then. Justin Mahaley, Mark Tomanek, all of those guys were doing Q&As and stuff like that weekly. I was asking as many questions as I could in those and literally screenshotting every answer that I would get and put it in an album on my phone, diving into kind of research and stuff like that. That was kind of what led me into the coaching world. But reverting back a little bit, the prep was okay. I lost like 55 pounds or something like that.
Wow.
Super, super scrawny on stage. I was like 162 on stage or something like that at 6 foot tall. I competed in men's physique, got like, I don't know, fourth in true novice or something. That was the only class I did. But it taught me a lot. It was fun. It sparked my love for bodybuilding for sure. But the prep itself was not very not what you would consider an ideal prep.
Yeah. And how did coaching start for you?
Yeah, so basically just diving in from there and learning as much as I possibly could and other people starting to pick up on how much I was kind of obsessed with the sport at that point. That was when, so like I told you, my best friend Parker, he was in the Marine Corps at the time and he was just always genetically gifted, like I said. So he started taking interest after seeing me compete. He started taking interest and was like, this may be something that I want to do. So about 8 9 months after I did my first show, he came to me and he was like, "Hey man, like obviously you know a lot more than I do." He was like, "I'm in the military making $20,000 a month. I don't have the money to hire a coach." He was like, "Would you coach me for my first show?" And I was like, it's like September at this point, and I'm like, well, for one, yes, I will go ahead and tell you that I'm not promising anything because I just did my first show myself. Like, yeah, I can try. But I had actually started working with Matt Jansen at that point as a coach, as my coach. I actually took out a loan through my grandma to pay Matt Jansen for a year. But I knew that it would be a learning experience for me, and
Yeah.
that's really why I did it. So I had started picking up some things and stuff like that, just learning a little bit. So I ended up prepping him for 8 weeks, I think. No, 6 weeks for basically like the last North Carolina show of the year. And honestly, man, obviously genetics play a big role in this. He just responded like ridiculously insane. And the only thing I really had knowledge on at that point was TRT because I did my first show natural. And the only thing I had knowledge, so I put him on like 250 mgs of test for 6 weeks, test P, and he just absolutely like morphed. Ended up winning our class at that show. He lost the overall to Tom Cox, who won the overall at nationals that year in men's physique. So backstage at that show, actually, are you familiar with like Unchained Physiques, those guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a bit, they're big in North Carolina. Tom was there obviously with Unchained Physiques, Mike Retini, the basically anyways, he saw kind of what we were doing and started asking us, how old are you? Whatever. And I was 19 at the time. Parker was 20. And he was like, "Wow, you guys have like a lot of potential." So he was like, "You guys should go do nationals and just see where you stand." So we were like, "Man, we don't know how we just spent every dollar we had in order to get to this regional show." So we ended up talking our parents into buying us flights and an Airbnb for Christmas to nationals in Orlando that year.
Cool.
right around that same time was when I had met, obviously I was going to Virginia Tech. I had met Mike White and we had started chatting a bit, and Mike actually came in and helped me a little bit as far as like, I had asked him a question like, hey bro, what does Anavar do? Do you think that would be a good thing to add in for these next 3 weeks before? So we ended up adding in like 25 mgs of Anavar from the regional show to nationals. And Mike actually came to Orlando with us. We all got an Airbnb together and he helped me kind of with the peaking process and stuff like that. And we actually got, I think, ninth place at nationals in men's physique that year, which is like, I mean, somebody who's prepped for 8 weeks, their first prep ever, that's not bad.
On baby doses.
Yeah, exactly. So that national show was a big, big turning point for me. That was when I had we got there, and Matt Jansen, obviously I was working with him. He had won like 4 pro cards at nationals that year. Cam was there. He won 2 pro cards. Just some big names that I had been following and seen and stuff like that. And then I actually got to kind of see what they were doing, how they were doing it in person. Mark Tomanek, and I just went all in from there, man. Like it was really, really, really a turning point for me. I ended up posting Parker's pictures on Instagram, like, hey, basically just like, this is a cool thing that we did, and people just started hitting me up. That was when I had, gotten my first couple paid clients, like $75 a month or something like that. And I just started, that was when I like really dove into the mentoring, really dove into, following along with people. That was when I learned about Dom, obviously Cam. Cam was someone I looked up to a lot at the time because he was younger as well as I was, and he had some pretty good success. So I started mentoring with him, and yeah, kind of just took off from there, man.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's such a cool story. Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, I think you've answered it, but how you leveled up so quickly. It sounds like a combination of Parker and staying humble and being
Yeah,
willing to
man.
learn and
I think I think
surrounding yourself with good people.
For sure. And I think that I contribute everything to the connections that I made early on.
Yeah.
I was very, there was no ego at that point. I just wanted to learn any and everything that I possibly could. So I would just DM people, like Cam, for example. Hey man, like how much would it cost for us to get on a call? I was bouncing at the time in college. So I was making, as a college kid with no bills, pretty good money. So I was just spending every bit of money that I made from bouncing and hiring people or doing mentorships or Jeff Sue was like selling his courses at the time. I bought all of those and went through them. I was learning a lot. Obviously, as you know, Mike White is a walking encyclopedia. So I was learning as much as I could from him. And then, yeah, it just kind of took off from there. And like I said, I think the biggest thing of leveling up has definitely been, for one, Parker. Obviously, everyone strives to have that client with just crazy genetics to kind of put you on the map, per se. Like everyone's had it, Cam had Jarek, Matt had Dallas McCarver. Like those are the people that kind of like you're able to show your potential with. And just all of the knowledge that I took in a very short amount of time, I was able to do something with it. And Parker was kind of a big help there, as well as, like I said, the networking was everything. Just making connections. I mean, as humble as I can say this, like my circle now, the people that I hang out with in my network now are some of the top in the game. So like that's been huge for how I've been able to level up and just putting yourself in the right room.
Cool. And you had an awesome reel. I actually want to show it.
Okay.
Is it the client results loading, the one where like people, the reel you had about people saying maybe you don't have as much experience as a bodybuilder?
It is. So I actually started running basically a follower ad where I was like, hey, follow my page, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
And I got this crazy amount of people commenting like, this dude looks like this and whatever, whatever. Like the comments in there are ruthless. It's pinned on my page. But the one where I was like, I took some of those comments and made them in, it's the cover of it is that.
Okay, I'm gonna show it. I'll pull it up. 1 sec. I love this.
It was just like a fun thing to make. It was all,
this works.
bro, get a real job.
All right.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, man. That was a fun, I was getting all those comments. I was like, man, I'm gonna prove something here. And then a lot of people messaged me like, man, don't listen to that. And I was like, dude, those comments do not bother me whatsoever. It was just a funny thing to make. Yeah. So
No, it didn't come off like it was bothering you. It came off like you were like, all right, let me check this.
It was kind of like a fuck you in a sense. Like, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter to me what I look like. I've done the preps, I've done, the off seasons, I've experimented with everything possible, probably. Like, I know what I can do as a coach,
Absolutely.
Nick Saban isn't the best football player in the world, but he's one of the
Yeah.
best football coaches. So like, it doesn't, you don't have to look the part to be the part, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's crazy. It's the opposite. Like honestly, there are very few pro IFBB pros who are good coaches.
Yeah.
And the chances are, if someone told me my coach is an IFBB pro, like I can probably predict that they're a bad coach
Yeah.
statistically.
Dude, I had this talk with someone the other day, and it's like, I think the reason for that is because, like, I always revert things back to sports because I'm a big sports guy, and the sports analysis, right? They're the ones who know every single in and out detail about the sport, but it's because they love the sport and they had to learn everything about it to do something with it, if that makes sense. Like, the guys who are actually playing, they're just genetically gifted. They just go out there and play and they're good at it. It's the same
Yeah,
thing with bodybuilding, in my opinion. Now, there are some nuances to that, like, John Jewett's it's smart. Like but those are unicorns in the industry. It's like most IFBB pros, I tell people, like, they're just kind of regurgitating plans and they know what works for them, and then they're just giving you what works for them. And that's not that doesn't work in this sport. Like, everything is so individualistic and specialized to that person. Like, it's not likely that somebody who is just doing it themselves. And another thing is, like, an IFBB pro is putting their time, effort, and energy into their own bodybuilding, right? So
yeah,
they're not usually having the time to handle huge client loads and
totally.
stuff like that.
Yeah, it's priorities.
Yep, exactly.
What gets you the most excited about coaching, Taylor? What do you love about it? What gets you fired up?
I mean, I would be lying if I said that number one wasn't winning. I'm competitive as shit. I love to
Nice.
win. There's a saying one of my high school baseball coaches told me, it's like, I hate losing more than I love winning. So, like,
Mm,
I cannot stand, like, it burns me up to lose.
yeah,
Now, obviously, that being said, bodybuilding is a very, very, very subjective sport, and, like, you're not always in control, but, like, I winning is first and foremost. But I just, man, some of the messages I get sometimes, like, I won't say, I'm not going to say his name, but a client of mine lately or recently messaged me and was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know that I have been addicted to marijuana for 10 years now." And some people look at that like, "Oh, you just smoked weed," but, like, to the point where, like, it was controlling his life and he kind of didn't know who he was outside of it. And he was like, hiring you, and I kind of helped him get through the withdrawals and stuff because he was coming off of it. And he was like, "Man, I can't thank you enough. Like, you've changed my life, mentally, physically, emotionally." And that's fulfilling, man. Like, taking someone, or for example, Parker was in when he did his first prep, he was partying all the time. He was drinking. He was super depressed. He actually tried to end his life. And right before we started prep, and then, bodybuilding, like, quite literally saved his life. And just stuff like that, man. It's like having that impact. And Dom Kuza says this all the time: impact over hype. It's having that impact on people is, like, very, very special to me. And I've always been like a put others before myself type of person anyway. So if I can help other people accomplish their goals, or just see potential in themselves and the vision that they have for themselves, and fulfill it, it brings a lot of fulfillment to me.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it bleeds through
Yeah.
in your content and when you're talking and meeting you, like
Yeah.
you're just very, very passionate about your clients. And
Yeah, man. That and it's great that you say that, and some people have told me that too lately. But, like, at the end of the day, I still, when I'm making content, when I'm at shows, when I'm prepping people, like, I still see myself as the 19-year-old who's, like, still trying to learn everything. And I get really bad imposter syndrome sometimes, and it's like, people like yourself, see that, but it's like I don't see that in myself. So it's good
yeah,
to get that reminder sometimes, but it is also good to know that, like, it shows, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's my biggest thing is, I don't, that reputation, as you know, in this sport is everything. And just wanting people to know that I do, like, it's not about the numbers, it's not about the money, it's not about, at the end of the day, it's not about the wins, really. It's just, like, I genuinely love coaching, and it brings me a lot of fulfillment.
that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I think if you don't have some degree of imposter syndrome, you're probably a psychopath or an
Yeah, exactly.
asshole.
Or yeah, because I mean, too, if you don't have it, like, you just get complacent. It's easy to get complacent after you
Yeah,
got a few wins and stuff like that. You feel like, but me, I'm like always, okay, what's the next thing I can prove? What's the next thing I can prove? What's the next thing, and not prove to others, but prove to myself. Like,
yeah,
just showing that there's another level always.
for sure. What, like, you've been through it, and I'm sure coaches reach out to you a lot. Like, what advice do you give to aspiring coaches, especially ones who, like, I'm not talking about people are like, I want to coach and they haven't done anything. And I'm not talking about people who, have had some success. Maybe they have 15, 20, 30 clients, but like the ones who have like 5 clients and don't really know where to go next.
Yeah.
So there's like so many things they could do. They could sign up for mentorship. They could spend money on marketing. They could start making a ton of Instagram posts. What advice do you give those types of people?
Yeah, man, this is an incredible question. The first thing that I'll always tell everyone is network. Like I genuinely do not think that I would be where I'm at today if I hadn't networked and put my ego to the side and just reach out to people and pick brains and, hey, can I ask you? Like at the end of the day, what is it going to hurt to send a DM to someone that's higher up than you? I even still do this sometimes today, and like, hey man, do you mind if I pick your brain? Like I'll be willing to pay you for it. I think that that's the biggest thing, because you're going to learn so much. You're going to meet new people. People are going to know you. And in this sport, connections are everything. The second part to that is I actually am in the process. It's funny you asked this. I'm in the process of starting a consulting business for coaches. And the reason for that is because I'm sure you've seen it. We all have all of these coaches, these business coaches out here these days that are like, I can help you scale to $10,000 a month, right? Like I can teach you the business side. Like I can teach you how to run ads. I can teach you how to do that. None of that matters if you don't know how to coach.
Yeah.
You can be a salesman all day long, but like that's only going to last so long. So what I tell people is, and the reason that I'm starting this consulting business is because I'm going to integrate the education piece of being a good coach in with, okay, now is how you do the business side of it. Because a lot of people don't see, a lot of bodybuilding coaches specifically are just passionate about it. They don't actually, I think it's either black and white. It's either they only care about the money in the business or they only care about the passion for bodybuilding. And I think that there's a good middle ground, and it's taken me a few years to learn that. Of you learn what it takes to be a good coach. That way you can fulfill the client's needs and really, provide value. And then from there, you also learn the business side of it, because there is a business to coaching. Like anyone who knows like anything about business can probably do a lot better at coaching if they also have the knowledge and the passion to go with it. So that would be my second part, is like learn how to be a good coach. Take the mentoring, do the courses, learn and prove that you can create results. And then from there, the marketing aspect and just showing the knowledge you have, showing the results you can create, stuff like that. That's when that comes into play.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's tough. I think there's a balance, just like you're saying, because you can't just learn. You can't just spend money on courses, because knowledge can only get you so far.
Yeah, and like, sorry to cut you off, but you're not going to get the actual true level of knowledge. Like you can know a textbook in and out, top to bottom, but if you don't have experience to go with it, then you're really missing the biggest part, right? Like a lot of that shit like doesn't apply to this sport and these people and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a middle ground and a balance, because you have to also be marketing yourself on how to get more clients in order to be able to have that experience to get better at coaching. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with you.
And what's something like there's a lot of interesting topics going around now with peptides and GLPs and SLU, and I feel like there's just so much cool, interesting stuff that the industry's learning. What's something you've learned a lot about lately, either through client experience or research or mentorship, that you wanna talk about? Maybe we can go off on a little bit.
So honestly, man, so there's two parts to this, if that's okay. Definitely the peptides and the GLP-1s. I think that we are in a revolutionary stage of like modern medicine, because I think that all of these peptides and bioregulators and stuff are going to be the new pharmaceutical, like disease prevention and stuff like that. And then the other side to that, though, that I've learned myself through a lot of investing into the business this year, is the business aspect of coaching. I think that there's a lot that can be done if you have an understanding of business and how to market, how to, properly, generate leads, how to properly, fulfill leads and automate the things that need to be automated that don't take away from your time and stuff like that. But, for this topic, I think the peptide stuff is definitely the biggest right now, and the thing that a lot of people have a misunderstanding on, I feel like, when it comes to it, because I feel like Ozempic and those types of things put a bad name on on like peptides itself. I mean, people
Yeah.
think that they're just like a band-aid and they're just like super horrible for you. And really, I think the opposite. I'm sure that we could probably agree on that, but like anybody who has any type of knowledge on it whatsoever is pretty understanding that they are revolutionary drugs that we're seeing be made in front of our faces right now.
Yeah, definitely. What are some of the ones that get you the most excited, or you've seen the most success with?
Man, Retatrutide is it's a name that is raging right now, but I truly believe that the hype behind it is real. As a coach, I've experimented with everything because I want my clients to be able to use, things that are going to help them and stuff. So I've taken semaglutide, I've taken tirzepatide, I've taken retatrutide, I've done all of that, and genuinely, and retatrutide has been a game changer for me um in the realm of like mental health. Like I've had a lot of anxiety and depression issues and stuff the last couple years, and that has led into, like, after my show last year, some eating, no, I wouldn't say eating disorders, but like just going off the rails and eating too much, binging. Like, True Tide is something that I think has been very, 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 very crucial for me in like getting over those things and just being more clear throughout the day. Like right now, like I'm not really bodybuilding whatsoever right now. Like, to be honest with you, I eat a couple healthy meals per day. I work out a couple times per weekend. I've never in my life been able to just hold visible abs while I'm just not caring. Like, I'm always somebody who's just like a skinny fat. Like, I put on weight in my midsection super easily, and I take 1 milligram of retatrutide a week, and I am probably in like the best like walking around shape, like without body. Obviously in prep is a different story, but the best shape that I've just ever been in since I started taking it.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing some of the benefits people are seeing in terms of blood work, in terms of mental. I've been using it this prep. I used semaglutide my last prep, and it was extremely helpful. I think I'm like a non-responder, or like a hypo responder to it, because right now I'm using 1.5 milligrams a day
Yeah.
of Reta,
Okay.
and like still having like 5,000 calorie high days twice a week,
That's great.
and like that's a lot of
Yeah,
carbs
yeah, no, for sure.
for a 200-pound guy. And like I'm still starving like all the time.
Really?
My low days are only like 3,000 calories,
Jeez,
like
man.
not that low, but I'm still like so hungry. So I think it's like these people are like, yeah, I can't handle 1 milligram a week. I'm like, I cannot relate.
Yeah. Now, I will say, man, like, I think I'm one of those people that like hyper responds to it in a sense, because I can take like
Yeah,
0.5 milligrams a week, and it's crazy, like the difference that it makes. However, like, I can still eat and stuff like that. Even on 1 milligram, I'm perfectly fine to eat. Now, 1.5, 2 milligrams is where I'm like, I'm kind of like dreading food. I will say though, retatrutide hasn't had quite like nowhere near the effect on appetite suppressant as like semaglutide did for me.
yeah. I've heard
Um,
that from a lot of people.
Although I say that, but like semaglutide also caused me some GI discomfort issues.
Yeah,
Like, I wasn't using the bathroom. Retatrutide has not done any of that to me. It's been
yeah,
more just mentally clearing, if that
yeah,
makes sense. Like I
totally.
still get hungry, but it's just not like I'm like, oh, I need to go eat everything in sight type of thing.
Yeah,
Like, I eat a meal and I'm satiated. I'm fine.
yeah,
So that's what I like about retatrutide, and bowel movements are still great. I've had a lot of GI issues in the past, so it's not affected me there whatsoever.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the analogy I use for some people is like Sema is like a very blunt tool. It's like it's almost like using like diet hacks
Yeah.
to like fill you up
Yeah,
and slow your digestion and stuff. Whereas Reta is more of like a mental switch.
for sure.
It's more of
100%.
almost like a nootropic
Yep,
effect.
absolutely. And I think Retta has well, I don't think, I know, like, there's proven data that Retta is like on lipids, A1C, and it has a huge benefit there, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's really good for that. But yeah, I love Retta. SLU is something else that I'm starting to love a lot.
Yeah. What benefits have you seen with it for clients?
With the SLU. Yeah, so honestly, man, I've never been a big fan of Clean, and it's just kind of something that you like, okay, well, you use it because it works.
I love Clem.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
I'm a lifelong asthmatic, so when
Oh,
I'm on Clen, I feel like a million
yeah,
bucks.
yeah, okay,
I
okay.
sleep better, I feel better, I can breathe.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
yes.
so I'm the opposite. Like we actually, when Mike Nassif prepped me last year, I couldn't go above 20 micrograms of Clen. It just
Wow.
wrecks my sleep, man. Like my resting
Yeah.
heart rate was like 85 or something like that while I was taking 20 mics of Clen. We ended up pulling it out just because it didn't work for me. And I feel like it's a lot of people who are like they either love it or hate it. And again, it works for sure. There's no denying that it works. However, I think SLU has been able to substitute the Clen, and been able to, you don't get the same resting heart rate. Your resting heart rate isn't through the roof. You're not getting the jitters. You're not getting the anxiety from it. That's another big thing that I've had clients complain about with Clen is the anxiety that comes from it. And I've basically been able to replace Clen with SLU, or like, okay, instead of 60 micrograms of Clen, now we can use 20, and we're getting the same benefits with SLU added on top of it.
Mm,
So that's been like my favorite part
interesting.
about it is just not having to use Clen as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And have you heard of, I heard about this on a podcast. I haven't done extensive research on it, but SLU PP915.
I have not.
So apparently it's like a much more potent version of SLU
Okay.
versus the 332, which is the main one most people use.
Yeah.
I heard Andrew Barry talking about it.
Okay.
So I haven't looked into it extensively, but it's had more results in the research around treating like heart failure and metabolic diseases than SLU 332 and
Okay.
like improving cardiac function. So I think it's something we'll hear more about.
Yeah, for sure we will. And once it gets in the industry, it's gonna run its course, and people, if
Yeah.
if the hype's real, then it'll stay. If not, not. But I also am on the it's funny you say that about the potency, because I'm on the fence about, like, not necessarily on the fence. I had a conversation with Kuza about this the other day, and like, technically the dosing of SLU that we're using, the 332 of like 250, 500 micrograms, like if you're
Yeah.
looking at studies, like humans should be taking, upwards of two to 10 milligrams depending on your weight, like milligrams, not micrograms.
Yeah.
So I really have, and also there's a difference between like pharmacy grade. I talked to Matt Cusano about this, and he says that, he gets crazy results off of 500 micrograms of pharmacy grade versus, a lot of people, you won't really see a huge benefit until you get to like a milligram of research grade. So I think there's a discrepancy there too. But like, just behind the research of it, I think that we just haven't gotten to the phase of using enough milligram wise, or dosage wise, to like really see the true benefits that it has. But along with that comes, like, at the end of the day, like, if you can get what you want out of as little as possible, then like that's the goal too, so you don't want to. My thing with like running it higher to get those like real results is the mitochondrial kind of workload that's being put into it, and then having to add the urolithium and stuff like that. At some point, it's a budget thing too for a lot of people in prep. So those are some kind of nuances to it, I guess.
Yeah. What's your lithium?
Urolithium is basically regenerates mitochondrial cells. So
Oh, okay.
so basically, I like to add that in when someone's taking SLU. That way, it's like you're not just tearing down the mitochondria. You're building it back up or regenerating
Yeah.
it at the same time.
You're not burning yourself out
Yeah,
as much.
exactly.
Yeah, I think one thing Dom taught me that I thought was really smart. You see all these people using methylene blue and they're using it daily.
Uh-huh.
And he was talking about how there's danger with that you can actually like hyperoxygenate
Yeah.
your brain. So it's somewhat similar concept.
Yeah, it's basically the exact same. Like, everyone's like mitochondrial. Yeah, but like, your mitochondria can't just be overloaded and
Yeah.
overstimulated at all times.
Yeah.
At least that's
Yeah.
a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So he was, just for the audience, what he said is don't take it more than like twice a week
Yeah.
on your heavy days.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I should have known this. This was entirely my fault, but I'm on fluvoxamine, SSRI.
Okay.
So when I took methylene blue, at least the first time,
Yeah.
it didn't happen subsequent times. I definitely got some serotonin syndrome.
Yeah.
I was like going crazy.
That's interesting you say that, because I've been on Zoloft for 2 years now, and I actually came off of Zoloft to try the methylene blue.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
it wasn't the same, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely can understand the like methylene blue helped me, but it wasn't like what an SSRI does. So
Yeah.
what did it feel like for that serotonin syndrome?
So serotonin syndrome has there are a lot of different
Yeah.
symptoms. And so it can range everything from like mild anxiety, I'm just reading, to like tremors, muscle spasms, sweating, increased blood pressure, increased heart rate. You can get gastrointestinal distress. For me, it was just like, it felt like I had taken like 6 cups of coffee.
Okay.
And like my brain was like buzzing.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was on another planet.
I got you.
So it was like it was a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
And that was only on 5 milligrams. But then subsequent times I took it, I didn't get that
Yeah.
effect.
Okay.
But I don't take it now
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
I don't want to risk
Oh
it.
yeah.
But yeah, it can be like life threatening.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that for sure because I was gonna start microdosing a little bit and
Yeah.
I just like I'm kind of weary about that even
Yeah.
with the I just don't want to, serotonin syndrome can be very serious, so that's something I've learned to
Yeah.
steer clear of.
Yeah, one thing I've been super interested in lately is some of these SSRIs. People say a lot of bad things about SSRIs, but some of them have like really interesting and powerful effects on like brain remodeling in positive ways. Like I also take trazodone because I'm a lifelong insomniac, and that has like incredible effects on preventing neurodegeneration.
Oh,
Like
I
it's
did
like
not.
really, really strong for that. And then fluvoxamine, I heard this on a podcast, it can negate almost all the mental side effects of tren. So it's like there's just some really interesting things that SSRIs can do. And I think they get demonized and people are like, I don't want to be on one, I want to get off them. But I think there can be some really good benefits if it's appropriate for you, if
Yeah,
it works for
yeah, for sure.
you, you're balancing it.
Fluvoxamine is Wellbutrin, correct? Or no?
Uh, I think
Or is it
The brand name is Luvox.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So I don't think it's the same as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure.
What are some of your goals for the next year, Taylor, and longer term in the sport as well? Like, where do you want to take this?
Yeah, for sure. So for the next year, it's gonna sound a little crazy, but I want to slim down my roster a little bit
Okay.
and pick up. I'll say this, like for my clients listening, I love every single one of you. There's kind of I wanna work with people who like I am really good at working with and are higher level, if that makes sense, because
Hmm.
I do want to start putting a little bit more time and effort into the consulting side of things that I'm working on, just because I genuinely do like helping other coaches as well, and it interests me a lot. However, I will always coach. My passion is coaching. I will say goal wise though, I want to slim down my roster a little bit and just be able to give more time, effort, and energy to people who really work hard. Because like there's always those people that are kind of just like hit or miss. You know what I mean? And I want to accomplish some big things within coaching. So like those people who are wanting to do the same are the ones that I want to really hone in on. Win a pro card for sure. Like that's my goal in 2 weeks. I need another pro card. My goal is my goal is at least 3 this year. So I have someone doing North Americans, nationals. I would love to get 5, but 3 is my goal. So yeah, just continue to level up the resume because I think I have a lot of potential on my roster right now, and it's kind of some people that I've like built from the ground up too. So like
That's
that
awesome.
excites me a lot. Long term, man. I mean, I really want to win the Olympia. That's a big goal. But more than that, like just continue to impact.
As a coach, to be clear,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
want to,
for sure. As a
yeah.
coach, yeah,
I
yeah,
just wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
make
No,
sure.
no. My goal of winning the Olympia is that lasted for like 2 months. No, yeah, I honestly don't know how much competing I have left in me, man. Like, I enjoy it. I like doing it for the structure and for the
Yeah.
accountability aspect of it, and just kind of walking the walk. But I just do it for fun.
Yeah. You don't need to.
No, yeah. So I might do a couple more shows, but not anytime soon. So, but from a coaching aspect, yeah, I wanna continue just to rack up pro cards and get to the Olympia. Maybe not even win the Olympia, but get to the Olympia is my main goal. And then yeah, just continue to help as many people as I can, and as far as coaching, just build a community, build an environment where people buy in, if that makes sense. Like just I don't like cult isn't the word for it, but like, just a environment where people feed off of each other.
Yeah.
And, you see those coaches with those niches like Unchained Physiques, for example, like they have a really good like kind of name and community behind their team. Cuts, that's the type of buy-in I want and long term what I want to do with coaching for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Taylor, where can people reach out to you if they're interested in coaching or mentorship or anything?
Yeah, for sure.
What's
So
the best way to reach?
Instagram is definitely the best way to reach me at Taylor Moore_7. I obviously, we have the podcast going now, Limitless Evolution podcast. That's what the name of it is on YouTube. So yeah, that's basically it.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on today.
Of course.
Can't wait to see you do great things this year and beyond, and really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for having me.